Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Doug Graham for Let's Cook Raw. And today I'm having the pleasure of a lifetime to spend a little time with my dear friend, Louise Koch, who is going to be telling us a bit of her story. And hopefully I'll be able to tweedle out a little bit of information you haven't heard before. So without further ado, welcome, Louise. And how are you doing today?
Thank you so much, Doug. I'm doing amazingly. I'm here live from Denmark. So
For a
yeah,
change, you're in Denmark.
for a change. Yeah, I normally travel a lot. Just got back from Czech Republic and yeah, now I'm here. So yeah, super excited to be on the Let's Cook Raw show as well. So yeah,
Well, I
I'm
know you've told your story quite a few times. It's something people want to know, and because it is a pretty spectacular story.
yes.
I myself remember when you know you weren't the vibrant expression of health and vitality that you are today, and were really struggling, and you'd already come far.
Yeah.
So can you bring us back to maybe even before all that, back to your
Before.
early childhood, and what
Yeah.
are some of the things you remember from when you were little, maybe about your health or about the way you grew up? Was
Right.
gardening part of your life, or were you a city girl, or how did it start out?
Yeah, so I grew up in a suburb of Copenhagen, in a little like row of houses with a little garden with mom and dad, single child. And we just ate a standard Danish diet with, I don't know, white bread with jam for breakfast, rye bread with ham and cheese for lunch, maybe a cucumber and some tomatoes, and then maybe rice with some chicken and some gravy for dinner, and then the cookie or cake for coffee later on in the evening. And I had never given diet a thought at all. I loved my chocolate, I loved cake, candy, whatever. And I was probably a little bit more unhealthy than most kids my age. Like, but I wasn't like super, super ill, but I just constantly had something, sore throat, pimples, or what do you, abscesses, or UTIs, or something that was annoying. And yeah, I got lots of antibiotics and just saw the doctor on a regular basis, I guess, but nothing major. Then in my teenage years, I
Your
had,
doctor knew your name.
yeah, exactly. He
Yeah,
knew me fairly well.
yeah.
Um, then in my teenage years, I got the mononucleosis, and was really, really ill with a high fever for a long time. And I also have to mention that I had eczema from the year 1.5. So basically, when I got the children's vaccines, I started to get like little, um, yeah, patches of dry skin that would get worse. I would get the hormonal creams for that. Go to the skin doctors constantly. They tested me for all sorts of things. Couldn't figure out why I got it. Just gave me more and more cortisol creams, and that was it. Did that all my life up till yeah, 2008 or 9 or something. Um, and that was probably the biggest health issue I had until I came, let's see. Yeah, I have a very colorful history. So after college, you call it, then I went on tour guiding school, and I started traveling the world as a tour guide. Went to Lanzarote in a sports resort and taught windsurfing. Went to Rhodes, it's a Greek island, and worked in a children's club. Did cabaret shows at night in this big hotel. Did normal tour guiding, like tours around the island, just showing people around, like here's a castle, here's a whatever, a ruin of something. And then I started doing ski tour guiding. So I was just taking guests up the mountain, skiing down for a couple of seasons. And then I went to Australia because I met a guy there and taught skiing in Australia, traveled up the coast. And I was actually pretty healthy and happy. got tons and tons of alcohol with all this partying, went to Ibiza, and I was an Ibiza tour guide doing beach parties and pub crawls and you name it. I don't think people know about this side of me, but yeah, I was a
Yeah, you
big
can let
party
me hear.
girl.
It's safe.
Yeah.
You can tell us.
Today I'm the complete opposite. Like I haven't had alcohol since probably 2008. Like not a drop. And back then I was close to an alcoholic. Not that I needed it, but I just, it was there. We drank for free as tour guides, so we drank every day, and I did end up becoming all yellow, and my liver didn't work anymore, and that was one of the issues that I had. I had high liver count and just serious liver problems, probably from drinking. And yeah, so I went to Australia, I went to Denmark, realized I wanted to work in television, went to England, to University of Westminster, got a television like education with lots of other communication, graphic design, photography kind of education. And there it was also a lot of partying again. And my health was fairly okay till this point. And then I got back to Denmark and I got a job in television. Oh, I also did 6 months at a university in Miami. So lots of traveling all over the place. And then back in Denmark, I had to struggle my way up in television because it's a tough business, lots of stress, really, really long hours. I was working as a producer and as also a production assistant managing, just productions. And the first thing that happened because of stress was that I suddenly one day woke up and I broke down. And I just couldn't do anything. I was so overworked. I couldn't leave my bed. I was kind of paralyzed. And that's when I started to get anxiety attacks. And they just got worse and worse over the years. And I ended up having 7 years of anxiety attacks. So imagine that you're standing on a highway and there's a car coming towards you and you know you're going to be run down and dead in a second. That panic, that feeling hit me maybe 4 or 5 times a day out of the blue, just like complete fear. And it was the worst ever. And I started to take happy pills and just tried anything. So shrinks and went to school of phobias. And I was literally in constant fear and my adrenals were just bursting out with cortisol and adrenaline. And that slowly just got me downhill energy wise. So I got more and more tired. When I went to the discotheque, I didn't have the energy to dance anymore. And then I guess taking all these cortisone creams all my life has damaged my adrenals as well. And what I didn't know at the time was that I probably got histamine intolerance from back when I got the children's vaccine. So I constantly had a high histamine response, which was causing my eczema. And so my body was just being dragged down slowly over the years. So more and more was put on top, bad diet, more vaccines, lots of stress, lots of medication. And at the end, I was just feeling horrible. So yeah, what started? It was just so many things over the years that like little ailments came. So I started to get gout in my toes, and I'm a ballroom dancer. I absolutely love it. And I couldn't dance without painkillers. And the gout got worse, spread to a bit of my fingers and more around my feet. And I started to have sleeping problems, dried out mucous membranes, gut problems, tons of candida. My hair was brittle, like it was breaking. My nails were breaking. My short-term memory would go. I would be in this bubble. I couldn't remember things. When I went into a room, I was like, what am I doing here? And I just got so tired. And like, I literally have a list of about 50 things that I have overcome. And yeah, at the end, I was kind of just bedridden. And then I got the 2 Gardasil vaccines against cervical cancer, and they completely put me in bed for months. Like I could not walk or anything. And I was at the time, I had been in television, but I was so ill I couldn't work there anymore that I got a job at a school teaching troubled teenagers graphic design. And I couldn't go to work. The boss called me up and said, if you're not coming on December 1st, we're going to fire you. And I'm like, I cannot stand up. I don't know how to do it. And I managed to go to work, and my colleagues would kind of cover for me. So I was lying in a little room on two chairs, just shaking and being miserable. And they would just, cover completely. So I stayed. But of course, I saw my doctor constantly, and he kept giving me more and more medication. And it didn't really work. It was just covering up all these symptoms, and I was getting more and more desperate. And he just thought, this girl, she's probably just stressed out and a little bit crazy, because he couldn't measure any of the things that I had. He could measure the high liver count, but the rest he couldn't, like the blood work didn't say anything. And he, at the end, just kind of told me, you know what, I think you're a little bit crazy and stressed out. And then I had a hospital test done, and they had spoken to my doctor, so they just said the same thing. And at that point, I just knew I'm on my own. There's nobody here who can help me. And I was so desperate, you won't believe it. So I was basically in bed, and I Googled like crazy, and I found out that I had adrenal fatigue. And that phrase was unknown in Denmark. Like, adrenal fatigue, you either have Addison's or nothing. You cannot have tired adrenals. It's either burned out or they're okay. And I just had to read all these thick books in English about what adrenal fatigue was and why I might have had it. And I made this group for people with adrenal fatigue, and we were all talking about like hormones and medications and this adrenal fatigue diet, and I got tiny improvements, but nothing major. And then I tried a anti-candida diet, and it just made it even worse. And I tried something called super healthy diet in Danish. That was the first time I started to see tiny improvements, because this super healthy diet was about removing milk, meat, chemicals, and processed foods, and wheat, and refined sugar. Yeah, those were the ones.
Improvement.
Huh? Sorry?
That sounds like an improvement.
A lot of improvement, yeah. And so this was the first time in years that I woke up and didn't have anxiety attacks. And this was such a big revelation for me. Whoa, I changed these things and my anxiety went away. And I literally spent 7 years with shrinks, school of phobias, happy pills, alternative medication, just trying to figure it out. And then I changed my diet and my anxiety went away. And that was just insane. And I thought, okay, maybe there's something about diet here that I need to look into. And at the time I was hitting rock bottom, and I was in bed, couldn't do anything. And I kind of just gave up on everything. I was ready to jump out of the window. And I put a little prayer up to the universe saying, look, I can't do this anymore. There's no option if I don't. I had some tests done in the States that said that I had so much cell and DNA damage that I was as close to cancer as you can be. And I might even have had it. And they told me everything else was wrong. That was the first time I had some solid evidence that what I had was real. And I took it to my doctor, and he looked at it and said, I'm not trained to read this, so I can't use it. So it's useless to me. And I couldn't get any help. Yep, I know. And I got a test saying I had severe adrenal fatigue as well, and lots liver problems and everything, gut bacteria overgrowth and stuff. So I was kind of just asking the universe, please help me, because I cannot do this anymore. Like, I don't know how, but I will get well. I am well, I'm there. And then within a few weeks, this girl in this adrenal fatigue group, she started to write about this crazy diet. And it was basically a really crazy diet where you eat fruits and vegetables raw. And to me, it sounded like insane, because you need your protein and your calcium from milk, and you meet and whatever. And I was worried. So I kind of tried to argue against her, but I couldn't. So I thought, okay, I'm the administrator of this group, so I have to, you know, get some solid evidence here. So I started to Google, and some guy named Dr. Doug Graham showed up. And he had some very solid arguments there. And basically, Doug, you convinced me and gave me the arguments I needed to actually start believing in this diet. And I thought, this makes sense. Maybe this girl is right. And I thought, okay, the best thing I can do to prove her wrong is to do it myself. And if it doesn't work, then I have all the arguments in the world. And so I gave it a try. And I typed everything I ate into a computer, like a nutrient calorie thingy, and could see that I was getting what I was supposed to. So it wasn't that like dangerous as long as it took the B12. And yeah, then within 2 weeks, I transitioned slowly, and I got the biggest energy boost I'd had for years. Like I went from bedridden to suddenly like washing the floors in my living room, washing the walls, painting the window sills, all within a week. Like, what the heck is going on here? And I had this bubble of joy that was just insane. I was like euphorically happy, high on fruit, definitely. and at the time, I knew nothing really of what I was doing. I was eating unripe fruit. I was eating too little fruit, lost tons of weight, just screwed up in every way I possibly could. But for the first time in years, I knew that something was working here, and I had to stick with it. And after that, I went into serious detox. And that was emotional detox and physical detox, because my liver was not working. Everything just piled up in me, and I was in an even worse state than I was before. Like hungover, stomach completely stopped, eczema everywhere. It was like a nightmare. But I stuck with it. I'd heard all these amazing stories that people got well, and I just thought, I'm going to push through this. And I did. And within a few months, I was feeling way, way better. And I think my detox was probably one of the worst you can get because of my liver problems. And like over the years, I just got better and better and better. And today, this like 10 and a half years later, I am literally free of everything. I have a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of dry skin on my hands, and that's it. Everything else has disappeared. It's so insane. And I've been on raw fruits and vegetables primarily. That said, I do sometimes eat a little bit of cooked. So I'm like 80 to 90% raw, but that seems to work for me craving wise. And that has just given me like those amazing health results. So now I can dance, I can travel, I can, be happy every day and healthy. And I'm a pretty happy person now, like no anxiety attacks, no nothing. And it's basically saved my life, because to be honest, I think I probably wouldn't have been here if I hadn't done that. So thank you, Doug, for saving my life.
Thank you for having the confidence. You're very, very welcome. I know you've written some books on raw and other books on health, and you're being very prolific and active. And that means you did a bunch of homework. So who else were influences in your raw development?
So there was definitely a guy called Peter Check who was running the Danish Fruit Festival, and that's where I met you for the first time. And I later took over the Danish Fresh Food Festival, and me and Peter has been working together ever since, and we're doing retreats now as well. But he was a massive influence, and he was actually the link between you and that girl in the group. And so he has definitely been a big major influencer.
He was a student of mine. Yeah. I'm not even sure now, 15 years ago, 16 years ago.
Yeah, he's been following you a long time as well. And he inspired me to do dishes and just to step up the game as well. And because he was out there as one of the only ones in Denmark saying, we got to do this festival, we got to promote this. And he was experiencing health issues that improved as well. So we just, worked together really well. And then another one who inspired me was Victoria Botengo. and her green smoothies. And I started doing them, like blending fruit with salad with leafy greens. And that was really inspiring and yeah, helped me a lot. So I think you three are probably the biggest influences that I've had in my life. Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. And I I know for myself, I've gone full circle more than once. You may have gone around this circle a couple of times, but when you're trying to explain to somebody else about nutrition, do you tend to do it from nutrition taught by nutrients or nutrition taught by food?
Whoa. I always teach by my own experience, and because I'm not a doctor or a dietitian and I don't have the solid educational foundation like you do, I always just say this worked for me. This is what I see other people experience, and this is what the Chronometer app tells me. And so when people say, is this solid? Like, will I get deficiencies? I always just refer to check it in the program. You can see exactly what you're getting. And that's my kind of backup, because that doesn't lie. It's going to tell you what you're getting. So,
Okay.
yeah.
There's been a lot of talk lately. I mean, veganism is on the rise, and but a lot of people don't want to say veganism. They like plant-based,
Yep.
as opposed to maybe I eat plants. Is plant-based a cop-out? Is plant-based the best way to present it? How, do
Yeah.
you try to skirt around it, or how do you tell people what you eat?
So I, I always did this diet for health reasons. And then I realized that, hey, I'm doing another good deed here. I'm not eating the animals. And I felt really good about that. But I must admit that was a side effect. It wasn't the main reason. I just wanted to get well. And I learned very early on that when I said vegan or anything about like animal rights, people was put off. And my goal was to embrace as many people as possible. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to approach it from a person, like a personal people aspect instead of the animal aspect of it. And my idea has always been that I want to go towards something instead of away from something. So I want to take people towards health instead of away from disease. I want to like tell people to eat more fruits and vegetables instead of stop eating this and that, because nobody likes to be told to stop doing something they like, but they love to incorporate something nice into the diet. And the thing is, when you stop eating something, there'll be something else you're not eating naturally. And then they don't realize that they're actually stopping eating a lot of things, and just, yeah, add more fruits and vegetables. So I rarely use the vegan word. If I do, I call it raw vegan. In Danish, I don't. I just go a fruit-based diet, I normally call it. Also, just because there is so much fruit in how I eat the 80-10-10 diet, that just to make it clear that this is a lot of fruit. And when you say fruit-based, they know, okay, there can be other stuff in there. So I kind of avoid the plant-based and the vegan. I just go fruit-based. It was kind of my solution.
Okay. That's good. If you look in your crystal ball, 5 years, 10 years from now, where do you
Yep.
see yourself?
Wow. I think my life will be pretty similar, actually. I will definitely be doing more spiritual stuff. I like when I started the diet, my intuition, my connection with the universe and nature and everything just rose like crazy. I started to look into law of attraction. So definitely a lot more spirituality, which I've kind of been suppressing and not talking about because it is kind of weird, and I was worried people would be put off by it, but I'm just going to be more open about it now. I feel the times are right for this. And yeah, so definitely way more spirituality. chilling more, just really following my passions and my joys, putting lots of material out there, hopefully that can inspire people. And what else? Yeah, just living a life of sunshine and fruit and happiness with fruity friends and festivals. And I can see myself doing that for sure. And cooking, uncooking programs and just fun and joy. Like that's what I'm all about now. I just want to be happy and follow my dreams and my passions. Ballroom dancing for sure as well. Lots and lots of ballroom
Well,
dancing.
you've got a big talent there. Got a
Yeah.
big
Thanks.
talent there.
Um, yeah.
And come on, give us the scoop. So what's the project? What are you working on now, or what are you working on next? What are we looking forward to coming out from Louise?
Wow. Um, so I have all these video courses that I really want to do. And I made the first one in Danish, and I have a dream of getting it out in English as well. It's a fruit diet for beginners.
Mm-hmm.
And next up from that would be how to succeed on a fruit-based diet. So just lots of courses, maybe do one on each kind of disease area. That's a future dream, to say, okay, how do you overcome gut problems? How do you overcome whatever,
Lots of
diabetes?
them.
Yep,
Lots
lots to
of them.
start with. So I would definitely love to focus on video courses because it's such an easy way to reach a lot of people, and they can take it in their own time. And then I'm definitely also doing more retreats in Danish, especially in Czech Republic, where Peter is now living and has an amazing retreat place. And maybe do some spiritual retreats as well. That could be fun. So yeah, that's probably the major directions I'm going in right now. Is
Okay. If you were going to try to distill your message
uh-huh.
into a T-shirt or a bumper sticker,
Uh-huh.
uh, what would your bumper sticker read?
Wow. That would be all is well and it's only getting better.
Oh, I love it. When's your birthday?
May 4th.
Okay, just checking.
Yep.
Because I say something pretty close when people ask. I always say everything's fine, but I'm expecting it to get a little better.
Yep. All is well and it's only getting better. It's
Only
like
getting better. That's
trusting
great.
in
Great.
the path of where you are. Like people ask me, how do you feel about that whole horrible story of illness you had, Louise? And I said, it's my greatest gift. Because if I hadn't had that, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. I wouldn't be here talking. I wouldn't be living the wonderful life that I have today. I would be stressing around in television still, probably not really happy, maybe married to somebody I wouldn't enjoy. Yeah, just living a 9 to 5 stuck life. And today and I probably wouldn't be spiritual either. And what I have now is just so much more valuable to me. So I actually find that my struggles were my biggest gift. And I tell people that when they are in the middle of the struggles, it's like, wait, because this might be what is going to turn you around completely.
Sure.
Yeah.
And if you were to give a parting shot, your closing message, how we have a lot of beginners coming in. There's always
Yeah.
an influx of beginners, and what would you tell them?
Diet wise, I would tell them to just like start slowly and not beat up on themselves when they screw up, because we all do that. Just one step at a time, one meal at a time, and just say, hey, I'm doing the best I can right now. Because people are so hard on themselves. They go bang, 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 you're not good enough, you can't do it, you screw up, you fall into junk, and I might as well just give up completely. And I just say, well, start with breakfast, because then you're eating 33.3% healthier that day or that month if all your meals in breakfast was fruit, for example, than you did the previous month. And then you can step it up a little bit, some more fruits and veggies raw for lunch. And then you're close to 50% healthier that month than the previous month. And that's how you just gradually step it up instead of going all or nothing overnight and failing miserably. you like, I see that over and over again. People can't do it. Their vibration is low. They're trying to attract a high vibrational diet. And you can't just change it around like that. Some can. And of course, if you're really ill, your motivation is much higher. But if you're just fairly healthy and just want to eat healthier, you know, it might be a struggle because you like your coffee and your chocolate and your cheese, you know, and just like one step at a time, one bite at a time, and you're going to get there. So my biggest advice would probably be to say, be kind to yourself and just talk nicely to yourself and say, you're doing pretty well. You'll get there. Just takes the time it's supposed to. And it's okay to be 50% for a while. It's okay to be raw till 4 for a while. When you're ready, you're going to be the 100%. So yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, thank you so very much. Thank you for doing this one in English. I don't know how many languages you speak, but your English just gets better every time I meet you, and this is very clear today. Really good. And I'm thrilled to see you thriving. You have no idea how sweet it is for me to see you thriving and teaching so many others. And I'm just very, very proud of you and look forward to seeing you many times on Let's Cook Raw.
Thank you. And thank you so much for being part of Let's Cook Raw as well, and just helping us share this message and get more people inspired. It's amazing.
Well, it's super. Again, Louise, thank you for making the time for us. We'll see you on the program again soon.
Yes. Awesome.
God bless.
Bye.